Is it going, YouTube? Most Sports Network back again to unveil my number 25th team in my NFL Power Rankings. And as you can tell by the jersey today, it's the Cincinnati Bengals. So now, again, there's only like 3 people in the comments, and none of them are calling me a homer. But if you were quietly watching from your basement and calling me a Bengals homer, today is the day that they finally were unveiled as the number 25th team in the rankings. And I can admit to being a bit of a Bengals homer at times, but I think 25th is a very fair spot to put them. I've seen people put them farther because of how high they are in Joe Burrow, and I'll pump the brakes there because of COVID. But I think this team has a lot of talent that a lot of people are underplaying. And I think I'd be higher on this team if they won like 5 or 6 games last year, because they were in some close games last season that could have been wins. But since they only won 2 games, I can't give them that big of a jump up just because, for the most part, other than a change in regime at quarterback, a lot of this team has remained the same with some key upgrades that I might add. So let's dive in. Starting with the coaching staff, we have Zach Taylor, offensive-minded head coach, second season in Cincinnati. What can Zach Taylor do? That's going to be the big question. Did only won 2 games in his first season. Took him a long time to get that first win monkey off his back. Hopefully he can start rattling him off. If this team wins 2 games again, it's not going to be looking good for Zach Taylor. So he really needs to prove this season that he can step up and get wins as this team's head coach. Was he hired because he is a bright, young offensive mind in the game, or was he hired because he knew Sean McVay? That is the question we're answering this season, and a lot is on the line for Zach Taylor. Looking at coordinators, Zach Taylor, offensive-minded coach, so he's working a lot with the offense, but they have Brian Callahan as their offensive coordinator. Not a super inspiring guy at all, so I won't spend too much time on him. And then on defense, you have Lou Anarumo coaching the defense. I think that he is a pretty good defensive coordinator, but the Bengals in the past have had guys like Paul Gunther, Mike Zimmer, among other guys. And I think that Anarumo is a bit of a downgrade from those coaches, also with a defensive-minded head coach in Marvin Lewis. So a big flip-flop from defensive or coaching ideologies. But again, it's not the stale Marvin Lewis era anymore. It's Zach Taylor now. And so that's pretty exciting. So now we'll go on to the depth chart and talk about the team, which I could talk about all day. Starting at quarterback, you got Joe Burrow there, the rookie out of LSU, best singular college season we've ever seen. And so, yeah, I'm sorry that I'm a bit excited for him, but I think he could do really good things here for Cincinnati. Year 1, I'm going to pump the brakes and hold any judgment about Joe Burrow. If Joe Burrow comes out and stinks this year, I will not say anything, because COVID shortening the season and his learning curve is going to be a lot tougher than it is for a lot of rookie quarterbacks. But for a guy, if anyone can do it, I think in his rookie year, I think it's Burrow. Just from everything he said, it sounds like he's soaking up the playbook and just learning a lot and quickly. I've heard reports that coaches have told him he needs to slow down from how fast he's going. He's going too fast for the coaches, which I think that probably says more about the coaches than Burrow, but really good things there. But he's a rookie, so I will hold my judgment. I've never seen him take an NFL snap, so I can't say he's some great quarterback yet. I'm just gonna say I'm just gonna assume he's Andy Dalton level until he outperforms Andy Dalton. So that's kind of how I'm projecting this team. Second, third, I think he'll be better than Andy Dalton, by the way. Do not compare. Don't use that as a comparison. I'm just saying that's where I'm placing him right now until I can actually see him play. Second, third, fourth string quarterbacks. If Joe Burrow goes down, this team's screwed. Ryan Finley stunk last season. Brandon Allen probably should be the backup quarterback, but he's not good either. And then Jake Dolgala, he did some good things in preseason, but again, he's not going to be anything too spectacular. Similar to Joe Burrow, we have Joe Mixon, who's the star of the running back room, and if he goes down, this team is going to flounder in the run game a bit. Joe Mixon, I really like. I think he's like a top 7-8 running back in the league right now, and I don't think that's a stretch by any means. I think this season he can prove he's a top 3 running back, given what he can do with Burrow. I really like what I've seen from him. Had over 1,000 yards last season, back-to-back seasons. So good stuff from Mixon. He's really been carrying this Bengals load, and I've loved what I've seen from him. But again, I can't give teams too much credit for their running backs because running game isn't the most important part of NFL offenses. You also have Giovanni Bernard. If he happens to go down, Gio Bernard has proven he's a decent backup running back throughout his career. Bit of a lightning to Mixon's thunder, although Mixon definitely can be thunder and lightning. Gio Bernard's also a good pass catcher and good blocker, so that's that for him. And then Travion Williams and Samaje Perine. I don't really see Perine getting much playing time on this team. And then Travion Williams is really just going to be a back who's going to be used in blowouts or if either of these guys get hurt. But I really like the running backs, and so I'll give that to them. Going on to the offense, I think the wide receivers. The wide receivers, man, they have potential to be a top 10 receiving group in this league. I am that high on them. But a lot of things need to go right for that to happen. AJ Green needs to stay healthy. John Ross needs to stay healthy. T. Higgins needs to step up as a rookie. If none of those things happen, you're looking at a similar group to last year where Tyler Boyd and Auden Tate run the show, and then Alex Erickson operates in the slot. Or I guess Tyler Boyd always operates in the slot, so Alex Erickson would be like your Z receiver or a slot guy when Boyd is out. You also have Mike Thomas, who has been getting some looks in camp as well. Then the rest of these guys at receiver, you're looking at special teamers pretty much, not going to see the field too often. Damian Willis saw the field last year, but only for a couple snaps. But AJ Green, when he's healthy, top 10 receiver in the league, and I think some people disagree with me on that. I just think AJ Green, I think people forget how good AJ Green actually is. Tyler Boyd has had back-to-back 1,000-yard receiving seasons, was the number 1 receiver for this team last season. I think Tyler Boyd is probably a 2. He's like on the verge of being a 1. Let me close that. Sorry, that's been up the whole time. He's on the verge of being a number 1, but I'd still put him at a number 2 receiver. And then you got T. Higgins, drafted great out of Clemson, fell to the second round. I had a first-round grade on him. Really glad the Bengals could swoop him up in the second round. So good pick there. John Ross, he was electric last year and he was healthy. He just wasn't healthy. And it says he's out right now. He is currently home dealing. His kid has the coronavirus, so he is aiding to them. Another guy to look out for is Auden Tate. He was a ball magnet this season. Could not stop catching passes. They're tough catches, like big jump balls and diving catches. On Tate, not the fastest guy, but really good catch radius. Then Alex Erickson keeps finding his way onto this team. Was an undrafted free agent. Good kick returner, and he just makes catches. So you can tell I'm pretty high in this receiving group, as I've said a lot about all 6 of them, which a lot of teams I've only said things about 3 or 4 of their receivers. So pretty high there. Tight end room, less high. CJ Uzoma is more of a backup tight end in my eyes. I'm hoping Drew Sample, who was a second-round pick last year, can dethrone him. Looks like him and Burrow have been working out a lot together. However, sorry about that. CJ Uzoma still the starter for now. He's a starter when Tyler Eifert's hurt a lot of the time. And now that Tyler Eifert is with the Jaguars, Uzoma's finally going to have that official number one spot on the depth chart. I'm just not super excited about him or this tight end group in general. Bengals fans love to pick on Drew Sample. But the rest of the receivers, I think, more than make up for a bit of a lack of a true tight end to help. And now we go to the part that I'm the lowest on this team, and this is not good. It's their offensive line. There's one piece who I think doesn't stink, and it's Jonah Williams. I think he's a quality starting left tackle. We haven't seen him. It's pretty much like we're getting a bonus first-round pick this year. Everything I've heard about him, he is a quality starter at left tackle. We just don't know yet. And so Bengals fans need to hope that he is a decent, either just middle of the line to elite left tackle, or else Joe Burrow is in trouble this year. Because the rest of these guys are not good. I think the second best guy is probably Trey Hopkins. He inked a pretty decent extension this offseason. Unfortunately, he's still not a great guard. Then you have Michael Jordan out of Ohio State in his second year. He was like a fourth-round pick last year in the draft. He started some games for this team. He struggled. Billy Price typically would be in that left guard spot for Xavier Su'a-Filo coming over from Dallas. But apparently he couldn't get that job, so Xavier Su'a-Filo will be beating out the former first-round pick. And then you have Bobby Hart here at right tackle, who is horrible. He stinks. I've seen Fred Johnson play, and he cannot be worse than Bobby Hart. I don't know why Bobby Hart is starting. He should not start or even be a backup on an NFL team, and I think the Bengals probably should cut him. So 3 spots on the offensive line are bad. I think if you were to rank them, they probably would come in at 32nd at left guard, and right tackle in the league. And the only team I think competes with them in any of these positions is the Miami Dolphins. And I think the only reason it's competitive is because Jonah Williams is here and Trey Hopkins is at least serviceable. We're going to talk about the defense, and I drafted 3 linebackers in this year's draft, and I like all of them, so I'm not too upset about this. But if Joe Burrow gets hurt because of a blocking issue, they definitely shouldn't have taken Logan Wilson over a guy like Josh Jones in the 3rd round, who was available there at the top of the round. They could have had Josh Jones there, and the line looks a lot better in that case. So the line stinks. Worst or second worst in the league. I don't think many people would disagree with me on that. So overall, great weapons down the line for this offense, but the offensive line is not good, and it will hurt this team making plays. I talk about how offensive lines can help teams. They don't do anything. They just let the teams operate, or they hurt teams, and this 100% hurts them. We're going to move on to the defense now, where a lot of people are lower on this team. And I kind of agree at parts, but I also disagree. So we're going to start with the defensive line. They added DJ Reader and Mike Daniels, which are a very good 2 run-stuffing nose tackle guys, along with Geno Atkins, who is an all-pro, made the NFL all-decade team. At defensive tackle, I think Geno Atkins can continue his production, and unlike a lot of defensive tackles, he can generate pretty good pass rush. So, like what this team can do interior-wise, they did lose Renell Wren and Josh Tupou. So if any of these players are to go down, they're looking really thin at interior defensive line. So I'm high on that until someone goes down, in which case I would not be high on it at all, because Freedom, I cannot say that last name. Is not really a starting or definitely not starter. I wouldn't even say backup caliber defensive tackle, as well as Trey Deshawn. Pass rush wise, pretty high too. Carlos Dunlap, I think, is a very underrated pass rusher. A lot of people sleep on him. He had a pretty good season last year. If you take a look at the numbers, he had 9 sacks for the Bengals, as well as 2 forced fumbles. Dunlap, also a guy famously known for batting balls at the line, which is a great trait to have. And then on the other side, you have Sam Hubbard and Carl Lawson. I think these two guys together form a rotation that is about as good as Dunlap. I think if Lawson has a lot more upside than Hubbard, but Lawson just can't stay on the field, and that's why Hubbard's gotten a lot more sacks than him. Andrew Brown, I think he's going to probably move to the inside. He's out of Virginia. I think he played D tackle there. He can move in and help with that thin group at defensive tackle. Then Khalid Kareem, in that case, might get forced into some situations pass rushing. He was a 5th-round pick this year out of Notre Dame, who was more of just a body there for the Irish than a true, really solid pass rusher. So that's what you got there with the Bengals defensive line. I think they have a really solid pass rush and run-stopping group. When you talk about run stop, you also have to talk about linebackers as well. I'm going to the linebacker group. I like what they did in free agency, bringing in Josh Bynes. He's been pretty solid with the Ravens in his time there. And so I really like that pickup. He's a veteran who can teach a lot of these young guys, because they have 3 new linebackers who will probably be a starting core of the future. So there's Josh Bynes. And then you have Jermaine Pratt and Logan Wilson. Logan Wilson, the 3rd-round rookie I was talking about earlier. Both of these guys, Jermaine Pratt he was a rookie last season. Down the stretch, he looked pretty solid, like probably the only linebacker who should be starting on that team last season. He's there. And then Logan Wilson, I really like him coming out of Wyoming. Super instinctful linebacker. Can cover passes very well, which Bengals linebackers definitely weren't able to do. A lot of them last year were just sort of in the Blake Martinez school of tackle it after you've already given up a catch. But Logan Wilson can get interceptions. Solid rookie. You also add Austin Calitro in free agency. Just another body there. He's decent. Akeem Davis-Gaither, your 4th-round pick. I think he has potential to be a starter. They have him in the Rookie of the Year odds. They don't have Wilson there. So I think Gaither is going to get some playing time. Then Marcus Bailey, 7th-round pick for this team. Really good at Purdue, but he just couldn't stay healthy, and so that's why he fell. I've heard Bailey in camp has been getting some first-team snaps as well. And also you can look at Jordan Evans, drafted by this team 2 or 3 years ago now. He's been forced to start at linebacker a lot for this team, so he's experienced, I guess, but he also just isn't very talented overall in those years. But him and Bynes can switch and call plays for this defense. Then we move on to the secondary. Trey Waynes is out. He will probably be out for the year. So you're looking at William Jackson and Darius Phillips as your 2 outside corners, and Mackenzie Alexander in the slot. I think Alexander is about the same talent-wise and player as Darqueze Dennard, so not much of a downgrade there. And then you had Jackson and Phillips coming back from last year as well. Both of them need to stay healthy at all costs now that Trey Waynes is out. They did get a pretty okay free agency pickup in LaShawn Sims. But if Jackson or Phillips goes down, this corner room is in pretty big jeopardy. There have been talks about them signing Logan Ryan, and I think that would be a pretty decent idea. And then at safety, I really like their safety room. Jesse Bates, I think, is a very underrated, under the radar, free safety, rangy. Didn't get many. He had a bit of a down year last year, but his rookie year he played great. If he can return to that, Bengals have probably a top 10 free safety on their roster right now in Bates. And then Von Bell coming over from the Saints. Just a hard worker, good player. Out of Ohio State, so Bengals fans will like him. Like a lot what I see from Von Bell. Also, Sean Williams, he'll get in there. He'll play some linebacker as well. He got hurt, so we'll see if he'll be on the field at the beginning of the year. But Sean Williams also can play strong in relief of Von Bell. Really good group there of Von Bell and Sean Williams. And Brandon Wilson, he played some safety last year. He played okay, but he plays a bigger part in the kick return game, where the Bengals have three really solid options in Darius Phillips, Brandon Wilson, and Alex Erickson. Three very quality guys right there. So the secondary is thin, and that's an issue, as well as the pass rushers. I think that's where this team just needs to improve. To take that next step up, they need depth. And that's what you see with teams like the Chiefs and the Niners, can constantly rotate guys in. I guess I'm not hailing the Chiefs as one of like a great defense either. Like the Niners, you remember the Legion of Boom, the Broncos defense, even the Steelers defense last year, and some of those Ravens defense. They could constantly rotate different guys in. I think the only place the Bengals can rotate guys comfortably right now is at linebacker, where all of them are rookies, high potential rookies, but still rookies. And so I am nervous about the linebackers and the secondaries. If one injury happens in the secondary, it's in trouble. And then the linebackers are all incredibly young. But I like the defensive line a lot. So that's all I have to say about the defense. High potential, but a lot can go wrong quickly if an injury happens or if the rookies don't pan out because of COVID reasons or whatnot. So now we move on to the schedule. And I think the Bengals, they have a decent win range here. It could be anywhere from like a 3-win season. Again, I don't think any team are winning 2 games this year, up to like a 10-win season. Given some of the competition they have to face, especially down the stretch here at the end of the year. Now, the beginning is tough. LA, they're either going to throw Tyrod Taylor or Justin Herbert out there in a home game for Cincinnati. I think that one's definitely winnable. I think this team will probably split with Cleveland. They've been able to do that recently. So you're looking at then you have Philly. I think they'll probably lose to Philly. Then Jacksonville. I think they can beat Jacksonville. They're my 31st team in the league. If you haven't watched that video, go check that out. Baltimore is a Super Bowl contender. Good chance to lose to them twice, although I wouldn't be shocked since Cincinnati has had Baltimore's number the last few years. Indy's going to be tough, especially in Lucas Oil with Phillip Rivers leading the way. If Rivers sucks, this game's winnable. If not, if Rivers is just his usual self, it's going to be tough. Again, I said they can split with Cleveland. Tennessee's good. I don't know how I feel about that game. The Bengals and Chiefs always play really close. I'll probably lean towards the did I say Chiefs? I meant the Titans. The Bengals and Titans always play really close. But I'll lean towards Titans right now because they didn't make the AFC Championship last year. Bengals can't beat the Steelers, haven't beaten them since 2015. So I'm not going to predict they're going to beat the Steelers until I see them do it. This stretch here, Washington, New York, Miami, I think this has a real chance for Burrow to get going at this point. 3 straight games, all winnable. All teams I have ranked lower than the Bengals in my power rankings. And then you have a brutal stretch to close the year with Dallas, Pittsburgh, Houston, Baltimore. Good chance they lose all of those. So this team has a wide win range. I think there's a good chance they can lose this game to Miami. They played Miami really close last year. I think they can lose the Chargers potentially. But I think the bottom for this team is like 3 wins. I feel good about them beating New York. I feel good about them beating Washington. And then I feel good about them beating Jacksonville at least. Then other wins they could pick up. Chargers, that'd be 4. Cleveland, that would be 5. Dolphins, that would be 6. And those are all, I think, logical wins. So that would be like 6 wins, I think, is a good spot for Joe Burrow in his rookie season. And then there's stuff to grow on. There are definitely games that you could get. Splitting with Baltimore, splitting with Pittsburgh. If you do that, you're a 500 team. And I think that would make Bengals fans super hyped for the coming seasons. But I think 6 wins is more likely. I'm looking anywhere from 3 to 9 is the rough range I'm looking for the Bengals this year. 9 wins could sneak them into the playoffs. And as I said, 9 wins with this schedule isn't impossible. Maybe it's my Bengals homer in me, I don't know. So come at me if you want. That's all I have to say today about this team that I love to watch. So if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you like and subscribe. If you didn't like it, tell me why. And that's all from me today. So stay tuned for next time where I unveil the 24th team in my 2020 Power Rankings. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.